Hey everyone, I'm Toby, and today we'll be taking a quick look at some of my top 5 features that I want to see come in No Man's Sky in the future. Number 1. Mid-sized ships. Now, freighters are huge, absolutely massive, and our starships are relatively tiny, especially when you consider how much we're supposed to be carrying in our inventory in them. You can't really look around, and you can't explore the starships at all. You just pop in, pop out, that's it. So what I'd love to see is some sort of mid-ranged starship cruiser, which we can stack up and launch from our freighter to carry items and equipment down to new bases on planets. So for example, the freighters could be outfitted with a new, larger hangar bay, somewhere on the side of the ship maybe, and in these docks on the side, as well as being able to put them in the mid-sized ships, you could keep your exocraft in the freighter. This would save you having to build exocraft spawns on every single planet that you land on in order to teleport them to you. You know, you could make your freighter a mobile base and then make your mid-sized ship your sort of maneuverable base between your freighter and a planet. So you don't have to worry about not having resources on a planet, not having a safe place to be on a planet, not having to worry about spawning an exocraft. And you could put your exocraft in the mid-sized ship, in your freighter, carry it down to a planet, and then go from there and use your mid-sized ship as like a mobile base. And be able to walk around on the ship. Think kind of the ship from Mass Effect Andromeda, or ships from Star Citizen. Especially if multiplayer is coming as well, it'd be great to have ships that can be flown collectively, or have social spaces, or even hire NPCs as you do with your current bases. Hire NPCs to look after and control certain areas of the ships. That would be cool. I'd love to be mid-flight in space and be able to actually get up out of my seat and then walk around my ship and look out the windows and see different sights from different perspectives, you know, as well as preparing my exocraft for landing and exploring. It would also incentivize greater use of freighters as bases and promote more mobile movement across galaxies, as your mid-sized ship would act as a mobile base between planets and your freighter as a mobile base between galaxies. Number 2, large-scale trading platforms / cities. Now on Twitter last week, someone posted a video of a strange glitch that seemed to generate a huge translucent megastructure reaching hundreds of feet into the sky and spanning across a massive surface area on this planet. Now it could have just been a crazy glitch of an enlargement of a standard trading platform, but I don't know, it kind of seemed a bit different and very specific in scale. Maybe it's a piece of code that slipped its way into the generation before it's supposed to be implemented. Well, I don't know, maybe not, probably. Who knows? Either way, it would be amazing to see just huge structures generated on planets with kind of interconnected platforms, hangars, trading posts, roads, elevators, and much more. We live in a strange universe in No Man's Sky. This is what's always bugged me. So it's not actually kind of empty or undiscovered. It's supposedly undiscovered. And yet, of course, every single galaxy you go to has some sort of sentient life in it or on every planet, apart from the barren planets. You know, that's fine. So if that is the case, then they need to commit to the idea and then have, you know, you need to then have completely colonized areas of planets as opposed to just tiny singular outposts here and there. You know, where do the Gek and the Viking and the Korvax, where do they actually live? They just, you know, they can't all live dotted around. They need to have some sort of hub areas. So this would work especially well for systems with good economy, as it would actually visualize the wealth and stability of that system. Plus it would just be awesome and just add a much grander scale to the game, as well as completely switch up exploration. You know, you could land in these complex structures and just explore them for ages, and be able to actually stay on a planet for a good amount of time and look around. Number 3, variation for space stations. Now this is kind of the older qualms that we have. I think it's safe to say that space stations are pretty boring. No matter what the shape on the outside, they're always identical inside, with no real innovation in its interior design. I'd love to see space stations with huge, procedurally generated interiors that stretch out across the actual size of the station. Even if there's nothing to actually do in them per se, it would be just nice to have and be able to walk around. This would make going into a space station a new adventure in itself, and would immediately add a brand new discovery to every system. You know, maybe some stations could be abandoned and need repair, or just be completely destroyed beyond repair. Maybe that's too much, but I do think that general variation in interiors would be a pretty durable and exciting change. It would just add a new dynamic to the gameplay and switch up the consistency of one of the most static elements of the game so far. Number 4, improved combat systems and enemy types. So you can play the game as a fighter, quote unquote, and with 1.3 did come a greatly needed overhaul to the space combat, and it's actually pretty fun to engage in the space combat now. In the future though, I'd love to see that overhaul come to ground combat, as that's mainly where we spend most of our time, is actually on planets. It's still currently just a point and shoot first person shooter, and by that I mean it's a case of standing still and just shooting a sentinel until it runs out of health before you. There's no competent AI for the sentinels, meaning even if you do try and take cover, they just kind of fly straight at you no matter what you're doing, and it's just a bit frustrating. You know, I want to see walkers and dog sentinels roaming around on hostile planets instead of just more of the drones. You know, I want if it's a dangerous hostile sentinel planet, I want to see them. I want to see more hostile sentinels as you land, not waiting for them to come later. They should just be there. Maybe sentinels could have structures or outposts that are heavily fortified and that hold valuable resources. You know, at least then it would give you a reason to engage and upgrade your weapons in order to take on an assault. I hope that they had the ability for more weapons as well, both in kind of variation, but also the ability to have multiple multi-tools at the same time. Maybe one for mining and one for combat, so you can switch between them, as well as kind of just general better first-person shooting mechanics, such as being able to aim down your sights and add some sort of cover system potentially. Additionally, please swap the L3 and R3 buttons on PS4. Sprinting with R3 is just the worst. And finally guys, number 5, improved fauna and flora. This is it, the biggie. Probably one of the most realistic things for the near future. I don't need to say too much on this, you all know what I'm talking about, we all know what's missing and what could be better. Bigger, more complex, more intuitive, more exciting, more dangerous, more alien. You know, that's my biggest gripe with the generation. It's not the variation, but the relative simplicity of everything. Most of the creatures and plants you find look like something from Earth, but slightly altered. And I think our dream for exploring is finding places and creatures that make you go, wow, I've never seen anything like that before. I'm kind of thinking of the floating islands and the vertical pillar forests from the trailers. This game is at its best when it makes you think, wow. There have been a lot of times where I have seen something and I've gone, wow, I've never thought of that before. And I've seen it and I'm like, wow, that's so cool. But there needs to be more of that where you just think, oh my god, like this could never exist on Earth. I didn't even think that you could have an upside down floating mountain or something, I don't know. I'd like to have that feeling multiple times on a planet as well, not just the second I land and kind of walk 10 feet in any direction. The variation of a planet needs to be spread across greater distances, kind of giving you incentive to actually travel around and get your exocraft and move around the planet. You know, maybe creatures that only live in caves, maybe predators that only come out at nighttime, dry planets with mountains, but then also huge stretches of dry flat sand with dangerous creatures that live in the mountains but not on the sand. So, you know, you're in the desert and you're exposed to the heat and there's not much cover, there's not many resources. But then if you go to the mountains, there's more of that, but there are more dangerous creatures and more ways to die. You know, a nice little things like that that can switch up the dynamic. And yes, obviously the sandworm, but by this point, I'm kind of over the sandworm. I just want, I couldn't care less about the sandworm. I just want more cool things to see. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. What is your top feature that you want to see come in the game in the future? Thanks so much for watching, and I do hope you found this video enjoyable. Please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video.